phone so that my questions stay up on there. Auto lock. That's right. Okay. How are you doing today?
Good. How about you?
Good. Do you still have any jet lag from your trips, or are you doing okay?
No, it took like a week though. Going to a later time zone, I'm always okay, and then coming back, I'm like, okay, my life is wrecked. What time is it? I don't even know.
What when you say late? Oh, you mean like it
Like
was
I can
late?
stay up and shift to whatever the time zone is. If I leave and it's like 5 hours behind, right? Um, but if I come back and we're now 5 hours ahead, I'm like, that's it for me. It's over. So
Okay.
I'll never
Yeah.
sleep correctly again.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the same situation that I have because when I went, and all it was when I went to Cascadia.
Yeah,
So I was in Seattle, and like being 2 hours behind, I was like getting really tired at night. So I was pushing it.
yeah,
And then when I got back to Houston, I kept staying up too late.
yep. Yeah, I've always been a natural night owl anyway. So like that's just where I want to be. And then I'm like, wait, you want me to wake up early again?
Oh goodness. Hey Ron. I see Ron in here.
What was that when Alex and I did Web Dev Challenge? We just never adjusted to Pacific time, so we were waking up at 5 a.m. and going to bed at like 1 a.m. And it was just like, is this worse? I don't know. I'm just unstuck in time.
Oh
Hi,
my gosh.
Linda.
Yeah, that's rough. Okay, I'm so not used to being on my laptop right now. Usually I have my big screen and can like so
All my
everything is
struggles.
everything is here. Hey Dave, I see Dave here. Yeah, so thank you so much. I know you were very flexible with my hey, can we do it this time? Okay, can we do it this day? Um, but yeah, so this is Abbey Perini, and I think we technically met at that conference because I remember you gave me like a couple really cool stickers and you
We
were
were talking.
knitting.
We were talking with Mark Texan about photography, and we were talking about not buying super expensive equipment too early in the process because like you don't know how to use it. Like it's not going to be of any benefit to you. You need to know the basics before you know how to use the shiny stuff.
Yeah.
And you, because you have your roller derby background, like, yeah, it's like all those people who bought Moxie roller skates during lockdown, and I was just like, I was one of
I
those.
attacked you. I
Yeah,
attacked you.
I just want to learn to dance on roller skates, Roxy. Come on. I have
Whoopsie
charms.
doodle. Yeah. I mean, they're really cool looking.
Yeah,
I wanted a pair, but since mine that I got for roller derby still are fully functional, I'm like, I have no justification.
because you know what you're talking about.
But that's funny because then I think like because I feel like I was like actually introduced to you at Render when you were dressed up as a wizard.
When we were just yelling at people who didn't recognize us in fake beards. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that was a good time.
Because
Yeah.
because it was like cool, nice to meet y'all, but I will not recognize you like out of costume.
Yeah, I guess
Like,
that was the next month. That was after that. So I guess we did meet
yeah.
at Render. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's a wild Ryan.
Oh my.
And he's only like 2 hours away from me, but too busy to hang out. So it's like whatever.
Typical. Won't leave Long Island ever.
But yes, so I'm sorry. I really like talking to people about how we know each other. But please introduce yourself and tell us more about yourself, other
Hi,
than
I'm
the Moxie State
Abby.
hate.
Still working towards those Moxie roller skates. My PT has not cleared me, but we're getting closer.
Oh,
What else do I want to? Oh, okay. So I should plug things. As Roxy mentioned, I give out stickers that I make at conferences. If you see the designs but can't make it to conferences, you can always go to abbeyperini.shop if you can spell it, because the first time I went to buy an Abbey Perini domain, Google Domains was like, "Are you sure? Are you sure people are going to be able to spell this?" And
AbbeyPerini.shop. I'll put it on.
abbeyperini.shop. Yeah. And then, I've got .dev.com for portfolio and Digital Garden. I've been since I started boot camp, working on technical writing, and have over 500,000 views, which was a big milestone. And then I stopped counting, and I worked full time in digital accessibility for a couple years, partially due to the technical writing. And now I'm at Hygiena, which does sanitization software and hardware across multiple industries, food manufacturing, healthcare, all kinds of stuff. Anything that you can take a swab and go, ew, there's stuff on the swab, they're in that industry. I love problem solving, no matter what the stack it's in, and I'm currently finishing up a Git fan fiction for teaching people how to restore lost work in Git that I will be debuting at Nebraska Code with our friend Bethany. It's her first conference talk. If you get in the conference circuit with us, you're going to be bullied into speaking. It's how it works.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm so sad that that's one that I couldn't make because of being out of town, because that's going to be awesome. And then someone just referenced your slots talk. I'm like, yeah, that was a super fun
talk
that you did at CYC. And it was such an earworm too, because I feel like the rest of the day I was like, shots.
I will do no Lil Jon impersonations during that talk. I will not do it justice. But yeah, the first time I gave that talk, and it is Lil Jon jokes from start to finish. Like, I did not get the reaction I got at CYC. I walked away from CYC. I got home, and I was like, yeah, they were telling me I was hilarious for days. Like, it was nonstop laughter. And my husband went, well, don't quit your day job. And I was like, no, I can't bomb on stage. No. I can only be hilarious. I cannot do stand-up.
Oh gosh. But yeah, that was great. And I think at the end I yelled, yeah, I remember.
You did. Perfect.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
that was a good time.
That, like, I think people will know about me from like one specific topic I've talked about. I talk a lot about mental health, things like that. And really the unifying theme is that I'm very good at taking a huge technical topic and distilling it down to help you get started learning that topic. And so that really translates very well to giving talks at conferences, because a lot of times you'll get a lot of intermediate and advanced, because the people who feel that they are experts enough to go give a talk have forgotten what it's like to be a beginner. They're far past that at this point. So it's interesting seeing how just being able to translate topics to like a layman or a beginner really translates to a lot of the like people skills that engineers need, right? Talking to clients, talking to each other if you're not in the same stack, like those kinds of things.
Yeah, no, I agree. And yeah, you do need practice, like kind of bringing it back down.
Yeah. Code and crochet. Oh, another one of my favorite topics.
Oh yeah, and that's Maggie. Hey, Caroline. Yeah, I believe Maggie was at CYC last year as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sad to miss this year. Sorry. Costumes.
Yeah, I am also sad. So how are you, and I'm sorry if you said this already, I don't think you did, but did you go the traditional route, or are you a career switcher? Like, how did you get into tech?
So I got a psychology degree, and specifically, I got involved in research really, really early. So I'm published. I have a lot of research experience that undergrads typically didn't get. And because of that, I got to work really closely with grad students. And I was like, I don't want to do graduate school. That seems miserable. So I cast about for a bit. I worked, I was a yoga teacher for a bit, retail, almost made dog training a career, worked in county animal control, like I did a bunch of things, and then eventually was like, I need money, unfortunately. So I went into high volume MSP staffing. And so I was an objective observer of thousands upon thousands of physical staffing interviews. So RFID engineers, there was a bit of crossover. So we would like fight with the tech recruiters for stuff that we were like, no. Yes, it is a Google contract, but they're physically working on clothes that could control your phone. So like that's physical engineering. We get that. So after a while, I had like 10 years of customer service, and I was like, I don't want to talk to people anymore. I really don't want to. I don't.
Yeah, 10
And
years ago.
yeah, it's too much, especially when like, I was the point of contact for like if their paycheck was wrong. And that's a
Oh,
big deal. I
geez.
understand that, but
Yeah.
emotions get heated and like people don't handle it well. And so when I got really tired of that, I had been trying to figure out what I wanted to do for years. I was looking at data science because I loved research and data and all that kind of stuff. But that was another degree. And I was like, I'm kind of burnt out on school. I don't want to do it anymore. Undiagnosed ADHD. Where were the signs?
Yeah.
And so my husband was like, oh, well, why don't you try web development? You like making things pretty. You'd move boxes around pixel by pixel. Like, it seems like a good fit. And I'm like, all right. So I committed to a boot camp in March 2020 and got the pre-work. And then everybody stopped hiring because it was lockdown. So I had 8 hours a day to do all of the pre-work. And then not even a candidate, like a client argued with me about the day's date via email, which contains a timestamp. So like the date is at the top of the email and he's arguing with me about what day it is. And I just went, I can't do this anymore. I moved my boot camp up by a month. I put in my 2 weeks notice. And so I started a 4-month boot camp. And at the end of that boot camp, it took me about 3 months to get the same company to hire me back, but this time as a developer. So when I came back in as a developer, everybody was talking about how I had worked in the field. And I was like, I was in a cubicle in an office building. I don't know what the field is. So the first day I explained 1,000 lines of code to the person who explained it, or who wrote it, like why this needed to be. And my boss got really good at being like, Abby, what happened in 2015 so that we had to build this feature? And so I really saw from the get how, as a career changer, if you go into the same industry, like you already know the terms, you already know how the industry works, you already know all this, you don't have to learn that part. All you have to learn is the software part. And also how important it is to talk to your users and know what your users want.
Yeah. So you kind of came in with like the behind the scenes knowledge, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Like, recruiters are salespeople. If you don't let them mark out their territories on a map in polygons, they're going to fight. That's why we have this map feature. Like,
oh, wow.
Yep.
Yeah, I think, and I can't remember. I feel like I would have remembered if you had a psych, because I also have a psych degree and I also did not want to go to graduate school.
No, it's the worst.
Yeah. I mean, I went into education though. I should have.
Yeah.
Because at the time I didn't even think about tech, but yeah, I think.
But the psychology degree helped me in a lot of ways as far as like, mental health and stuff. Even though I've got a psych degree, I don't need to go into therapy until it's like an emergency. To be in my 20s again.
I know, right?
But like, I didn't know what I wanted to do. Like, it took me a long time to get to tech, even though like I had always been interested in video games. I had always been interested in computers. I had probably messed around with HTML and CSS before. I had done a ton of Flash, like all of this stuff. And it was just like, oh, now that's a hobby. Like, because
exactly.
I'm sure something we'll get into later in this, socialization. Like, people were like, oh, you're not a dude. You don't need to do computers. That's fine.
Yeah.
Everyone forgot as soon as I married my husband that I was the one who had been doing IT and setting up devices for over a decade at that point. And then they were just like, Matt's here now, he'll solve it. And I was like, I set up your entire iTunes. Like,
yeah. Yeah, no, my parents still come to me, which is great.
That's good.
And I think even Daniel's mom comes to me instead of him. So there's that.
Yeah.
So I also I didn't do dog training. I did dog walking, which I loved. But it's funny that we have so many little, like for me, that if, whenever they ask you, like, if you could do anything that's not tech, what would you be doing right now? And I'd be like, I'd be working with animals for sure.
Yeah, I'd be a behaviorist for sure. Yeah. That required a PhD though. And I was like, that's more than grad school. I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. What were some of the challenges you faced? I mean, obviously you mentioned already like COVID or the pandemic kind of put stuff on hold. But um, I guess just in general, working your way into tech, and I know you're not at that same company anymore. I don't think you're. Yeah, you said you're at the health. What
Hygiena.
the Hygiena, yeah. I was like,
Yes.
the one that sounds like
Yeah, it's got
yeah,
hygiene in the name. Yep.
Hygiena, yeah. So what were your greatest challenges, I guess, transitioning between or initially and then, new job and everything?
Yeah. So I think it was like a year or two before I started even contemplating breaking into tech that I realized that I identified as non-binary, specifically gray gender. And so there's always been this weird dichotomy for me where like I come in, I'm me, you assume I use she, her pronouns, that's fine, I don't care. I'm gray gender. Doesn't matter to me. But I'm still socialized and treated as a woman. So I'm still dealing with all of the same issues, which is not to say that non-binary people are women light, but that because I don't like use they them pronouns or anything, just the only time it comes up is in like conversations like this. So I started boot camp and immediately men were trying to prove that my husband was doing all my work immediately because I was great. And I have friends, luckily, who we immediately became friends at the beginning of boot camp. They treated me like a person the entire time. Like they were like, what is this? This is absolutely shut up, dudes. Like leave her alone. Not a big deal. So like I had my little group, but there was this constant already, oh, well, you're only going to go into front end. Oh, well, your husband has to be doing this because I can't figure it out. Like all of this kinds of stuff. And then when I got into the first role, I was the only femme developer on the team. And constantly I was hearing, oh, it's going to be so great to see what a woman developer can do. You're going to prove everybody wrong because you're a woman developer and you're so good. And this like, it's just so nice to see a woman developer like randomly in a meeting. And my boss at the time would say things like, oh, well, I hire the most women developers, but Amazon and Microsoft, they have these quotas. So like we're constantly losing them. And I'm just hearing red flag after red flag after red flag. And I think this is around the time that I wrote, We've Been Here Since the Beginning, which is up on dev.to and got just, I expected a backlash and it just got such a heartwarming, supportive response that it really, really helped because you'll see in the first half of it, I'm just like, I'm so tired of this. Like, this is not based in fact. This is just a bunch of people being unnecessarily rude and biased against a group of people for reasons I cannot figure out. So, of course, I dug into the history and found, the study that had shown that antisocial men were supposed to be better at software, so they used that as an excuse to not hire women anymore, and like blah blah blah. But before that, it was all women. It was computers. It was IBM hiring women off the street because they believed that they would be so good at programmers and so much better than men because hardware is where the money was. And as soon as that switched to software, then the men were like, oh, no. Get out of here. This is all ours. We want all the money. So I went on to the next company, and the next company, like I had a great team around me. I didn't hear all that stuff day in and day out. I was far from the only woman developer, but then there was still currents of sexism and harassment and stuff. So I moved on to this company, and it's ironic because I'm the only femme developer on the team, but there's so much more recognition of like, oh, we shouldn't put all the glue work on her. Oh, like this isn't something that she should be doing just because she's the only woman in the call and like all of this kind of stuff. Like I feel more seen and supported by this group of men than I have at multiple other companies. So it's been an interesting journey and very much given me like the confidence in myself and knowing that like people can say whatever crap they want. Like I'll be over here having fun and doing what I want to do and doing it well. And that'll be what wins at the end of the day.
Yeah, and what was the article? I'm wondering if anyone could link it or send like.
Oh, it is called We've Been Here Since the Beginning, I think.
Okay.
Let me
On dev.to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I want to make sure I've read it. and I want to share it.
Yeah, it
Um,
was. I had a bunch of people. Well, I had a friend who was editing um, my blogs and stuff for me for a while because she's in content writing, so like she's actually professionally edited and stuff. And so the first draft, she was like, I think you're gonna have to get more general with some of these
thank you.
statements. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yes. So I'm going to go ahead and keep that link for myself as well. Awesome. Um, what what are some skills? What are some of your transferable skills that you use fairly often um, in your current role, or in previous roles that you pull from your like from any of your previous
So
jobs?
many
Like
of
you
my
have,
previous
yeah,
careers
no, you
were
have like such a
degrees
fun,
or
you
whatever.
have such a fun background.
I mean, I'm sure you agree. Like the psychology degree, like every semester we learned how to learn at the beginning of the class. We learned, oh, people remember things better in 3 to 5 digit chunks. So if you're giving out your phone number, you pause between three. So like there are endless number of things that like I use for my psych degree, including a lot of like, okay, that's their world. That is, I don't have to take on their problems and stuff like that. What was interesting was with the recruiting, I did not put together how much of a boon that was going to be in job searching, right? And that's one of the reasons that Taylor Dustin and I connected, is because I was like, oh yeah, no, he's saying the stuff that is correct. Like I will repost when he says something that I'm like, oh yeah, man, saw that like every day. And one of the biggest things when I talk to, well, there are two big things that I tell people a lot when they ask me for like a coffee chat for career advice and stuff like that. One is kind of a two-parter. One I heard from a mentor when I was job searching, which is everything is practice for the one that works. Especially in tech, it's a lot of luck. But anything can happen to a hiring manager, and that means you get rejected, and that may have absolutely nothing to do with you. Like the manager could have forgotten his umbrella and got rained on this morning, and that's why you got rejected. I saw plenty of interviews where they would be like, oh yeah, and we'd be like, no, we have to give them feedback. Like, what is the feedback? And they'd just be like, I don't know, I just didn't like them. It's like, what?
Yeah, and like
So,
in 100 devs, they mention that often.
yeah, like you have to, especially with the amount of resumes and job applications and stuff, separate the rejection from yourself. And then the other one is that when you are talking with interviewers and you're going through multiple interview processes, the interviewer needs to know that. A, it makes you look like a more attractive candidate because you are wanted by multiple interview processes. B, they need to know that so that they can speed up anything that they can speed up, so that you can time everything so that you have every like offers and stuff all happening at the same time. And then that gives you bargaining power because they already know that you might be getting these offers. So then you can come in and be like, I got this offer. What is your offer compared to that? Right. And it is very intimidating. I've gotten a couple angry responses on social media, but at the end of the day, everyone in the process would rather know than all of a sudden you're 2 interviews into a 6 interview process, which is ridiculous. And then you're like, oh, I've got an offer. Like I need to get a response to them in a week. And they're like, we can't do the other 4 interviews in a week. Like that's just an immediate no. Like, or, oh, by the way, I've managed to time this out perfectly. I have 2 offers right now. And they're like, wait, what? Like we thought we were the only company that you were interviewing with. So it's always interesting hearing how people expect recruiters to be like mind readers, or expecting them to be in all these interview processes. And like, there's no way that someone can predict that or know what they don't know about. So
Yeah. And I don't know if you have any, well, so this comment, I don't know if they're thinking of your garden, your digital
I don't
garden.
know. It has Shiba SVGs and stuff in it. It is it is cute, I would say. I want to make a Ghibli inspired one now. I do love Ghibli very much.
And so this is slightly so back what
Yeah,
you were saying about letting people know that you have other offers or that you're interviewing. I'm wondering what is the like least cringy way to do that? Because I feel like that's always really awkward. And it's like I've done it before but I was like, I don't want to be pushy, but I need you to know there's
yeah,
a timeline.
yeah, yeah. I was helping a friend edit an email, and she was in the middle of a couple interview processes, and she was asking if she could move the technical screen up because of the other interview process, and like, could she go ahead and get all of the stuff that she needed to work on it over the weekend so that they could get everything done the next week. And there were like 8 sentences that were like, if it's not a problem, if it's okay, if you are okay with this not being a problem, if this is okay in the slightest. And I'm like, this is very normal. Okay, we need all of this. Take out all of the like, if it's okay, if it's not weird, if it's not, please let me, and all of that, and just be like, hey, so I'm in this other interview process. Here's where it is. I would like to see if you can speed this up, or if I can get this today, so that I'm not leaving one of you in the lurch, like anything like that. And then I think the one thing I would do is not tell them if you got rejected from one of the interview processes that you had already told them about. Just like, you don't have to tell them that.
Yeah. Don't overshare.
Yeah. But just being direct it is totally fine to just give them information and have them be informed. And it is the recruiter's job to know if the hiring manager needs to know about that or whatever. And a lot of times it would just be a note that would be like, they're in 2 other interview processes right now, because you'd be surprised how much that makes hiring managers just be like, oh, you mean like other people want them? Maybe I want them. Oh, if other people want them, I think I definitely want them. Like, it's wild.
It's crazy how that
Yeah.
works in like so many different aspects of your life too.
Yes. Yep. As soon as you get that first job, weird.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get the other ones.
Oh yeah, it's a psych thing.
Why don't we have any juniors? Oh, I wonder.
Oh. But yeah, so I feel like I really enjoy how open you are with like so you're definitely a person that will speak your mind, and I really appreciate that. Because I feel like a lot of people in any of the communities that you're a part of like know so much about you and what you stand for and support and what you won't support.
Yeah.
So like who supports you? Like what do you do for either like self love, or like do you have a system, you maybe your partner, or like I like to joke about having emergency chocolate in my suitcase when I'm traveling. Like
Yep, the emergency chocolate. Yeah, my husband can be extremely supportive, and his default is like, I want you to do what you want to do. I want you to be happy. Like, I want all of that. He is also just as technical and specific as you would expect from a developer. So there are a lot of times where like I would be doing my very first project and I'd be like, it is a website. You can click the button. And he'd click the button and then it'd break. He's got that like QA gene where like anything that could go wrong will go wrong with him. And he'd be like, button doesn't work. And I'd be like, you have to give some other feedback. Like, anything positive. We get the shit sandwich approach would be great.
Oh, yeah.
So I found immediately that I needed community. That's why I have been in plenty of developer communities. And one of the first people I met in one of those developer communities, it's been 5 years. We still talk pretty much every single day. And he is one of the most kind and supportive people I have ever met. He is naturally suited to like moderation, where you have to always assume the best of people. And even though you're in constant conflict, like be able to deal with that. And he handles it so well. So there are a lot of times where I'll be furious and I'll be like, Kirk, tell me what and you'll be like, what if they didn't mean to do that? Or what if they had another reason to do that? I'll be like, you're so right.
Best case scenario, Kirk.
Right. And so that really has shown the importance of community to me, because when I was in my first job, and like, we didn't do code reviews, we didn't use pull requests at all. It was just me pushing the prod, and people were like, I don't like that for you. I don't think you're learning much from this environment. Like, let's start looking for another job again. I would probably still be in that first job if I didn't have the community that I have surrounded myself with. There is also something to be said for, social media has it's a double-edged sword, but it does introduce you to ideas that you wouldn't normally be thinking about if it was just you and your computer sitting by yourself. And I was lucky that very early on I saw an interview with Angie Jones, and she was talking about how the thing that is different about you, that you bring to the table, is your superpower. And that was in the middle of boot camp. And so it really made an impression on me. And so I've always been super nervous around Angie. And I finally went, Angie, I'm just so nervous around you all the time. And she went, no. She is the sweetest.
Yeah.
But it was like, I had a Dolly Parton quote, I had an Angie Jones quote, and we were doing it. That's how boot camp went.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. She's amazing and amazingly intimidating. Like,
yeah. Amazing. So many patents, like the most patents out of anyone you've ever known.
And when I first met her, like, I didn't realize, I think we're about the same height. She's pretty short.
Oh yeah.
For
I think that's the first thing I said to her, because my brain shut down. I just went, "Oh, you're short," and she was like, "I was like, hopefully she forgot about that."
Thank you, Captain Obvious. Like,
my brain had no other thoughts.
As long as you didn't pat her head, you're probably.
Yeah, no, I would never do that.
That's like an ongoing joke, because
because of short people, you and
pat on the head.
Yeah. Oh man.
And so I have a secret list in my brain of people that I secretly loathe because they've patted me on the head.
It'll happen. Oh, tech conferences.
But yeah, so I'm glad that you brought up community as being, a support system, because I feel like, we're in obviously like a bunch of overlapping ones, and so I'm with you there. And it's like, it's funny because it's like, sometimes, you'll see people reposting to their communities, which is fine, totally fine. But like, sometimes it's interesting to see like what you'll share where, like what kind of support you need from where.
Yeah,
exactly, from what crowd.
So
I know this is a silly question, but you are such a confident person. Like, do you still experience imposter syndrome, or like, how did you ever get over that, or how do you get over that?
So somewhere like at the beginning of boot camp, I was terrified. Like, I wasn't the kind of person to quit my job, take a leap of faith, like do all this. And it requires a lot of confidence in your own abilities. You will get the job, like all of that kind of stuff, which I know, I've been super proud of you and your whole journey. But
You're the one that pushed me to apply to speak for the first time. So.
I know. It's everyone can blame Narando. He is the one who made me start bullying people into speaking, because he started bullying me into speaking. Which is, so I wasn't confident. I was not confident in myself. I've had a very long journey of going from making myself very small to feel safe to being able to do public speaking and all of this kind of stuff. And that started with me finally just going, I'm just going to have the confidence of a mediocre white man and see how it works out. Like, if a mediocre white man would do that, I'm gonna do it too. Like, that's.
I feel like I've seen that on a plate or like a banner,
Yeah, and every time I start cracking up, because like it works. Like, if you just stop, like there's some statistic about how women will apply to jobs only if they match 100% of the bullet points or something like that, and men will apply if they meet like one. And so like that's just how I started. Oh, this guy's shooting a shot. I could totally do that. I'm gonna do that now. And so that kind of helped, and that it was like, okay, all right, this is clearly working out. I am capable of doing this. But it was honestly technical writing and public speaking, because I was just forced to stand up in front of people and not be small and sit there and talk about a hugely technical topic. And like, I would get off, just like you, my first conference talk was at Magnolia. And I got done, I walk away, I've got all my stuff, all my friends are rushing up being like, you did a great job. And I'm just like, hold on, I gotta make sure I'm not gonna throw up right here. Hold on. Okay, all right, back to, yep, we did great. Everything did great. And it was about 2 talks ago that I turned to one of my friends and I was like, yeah, I feel like I'm good at public speaking. And they were like, now? This one? Why was this the one that made you feel like you were confident at this or good at it? Like, what was the difference? And it was just like, I finally got up in front of people and was like, this is me. I'm going to act like me. I'm going to take a deep breath and calm down for the first time and like be able to control the speed of the talk. And like, I fully know that I know all of this content and everything. And so it's been a long journey of not necessarily faking it until I make it, but like looking at the successes I've had objectively, learning how to talk about my successes in the most objective way possible that even my brain can't nitpick. And then slowly you get a little bit better at like a slightly better compliment about yourself. Like, like I'm good at X and not qualifying that in any way, shape, or form. And so now at looking back, like a lot of, the cancer journey also helped. Like I give far fewer fucks about anything after surviving cancer, but like it's a lot of practice. It's a lot of sitting there and being like, there are objectively good things about what I just did. Let's think about those before we think about all of the ways that it went wrong. And so I'm finding perfectionism comes into play less and less in my life. And I think I have a whole nother blog on just ways to kind of practice this in your life. Because I found once I started doing that, especially with networking, trying to find the first job, like I would tell anyone that I was looking for a web development job, to the point that I networked with my mobile groomer. And he was like, oh yeah, I used to own a telecom company out in California. Let me see if anybody's looking. And like, I'm going to go check my network. And it was just like, just talking to people. So now I embarrass my husband a lot at like being out and just talking to random strangers because to this point, with the number of tech conferences, it's just like, I don't know, it's just another person. Like it'll be fine.
Yeah. It's funny because whenever I started being more social in the tech community, my family is also like, who are you? What's happening?
I joke because my parents will befriend the entire staff of the entire restaurant when we go out to dinner. And I've always been like, why do we need to do that? And now like we'll be friends with the waiter and I'll walk away and I'll be like, I'm just more like my father every single day.
Yeah. Yesterday we I think it was a couple days ago, we went to grab a drink somewhere and this guy was checking IDs at the door. And so I was like, oh, hey, what's up? And when I was leaving, I was like, have a good night. Thank you. And then we came back like 2 hours later and I was like, oh, hey again. And a friend of mine was just like, what are you doing? Why are you being so I'm like, we were just here. I'm just being nice. And then, on the way out, I was like, good night.
It's not hard.
And it's funny because it's also funny because somebody yesterday was like, wow, you're like really nice. And I was like, I'm currently in New York, by the way.
I know.
And I was like, oh, I'm from Texas. And they're like, okay, that's
yeah. My husband's from the Northeast and we were up at a boat show in New York one time. And the Southern, oh, hey, how are you? Good, and you? And you just keep walking. Like that's not a stop and chat conversation. That's just we're existing in the same space. But we were in the North, so that's not how that works. So like the booth person like stalked my husband like all the way around because apparently I was the only one to acknowledge them in like hours or something. And I was like, oh no. So yeah, I mean, some of it is, so we're more primed to like actually acknowledge people when they speak to us. And some of it is also like, it's very easy to treat people like people. Like I know we were talking about that earlier. And one of the reasons that lasted as long as it did and had such a huge cult following was because they taught people how to network as part of the conference, right? You remember, okay, Pac-Man method, you got the circle, you leave space for someone to walk into the circle. When they do, you introduce them to everyone and then open up the Pac-Man mouth again so that there's more room in the circle.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sitting through that and I was like, oh, we have to explain that to people. Okay, all right. No, that's all right. And then like, stuff like the breakout groups and getting people to talk to each other and getting people to get up and talk to someone that they haven't talked to all conference. And like, it's mind-boggling to me that like those kinds of things have to be explained.
Yeah.
Just like when my husband was like, why do you keep telling people about your interests when you don't know if they're interested in the same thing as you or not? And I'm like, because that's how you make friends. When you find out that you're both interested in the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a lot of like somewhat just like I'm pretty good at people, and then somewhat like, okay, we're here, we're gonna make use of this networking time. And I think a lot of people see it as very transactional, but like us doing this is not transactional. We're friends, and like this is a natural extension of that. And when I hear people and I'm like, oh, you want to be in this industry, I know someone in that industry, let me see if I can connect you, people are like blown away. And I'm just like, no, you have the same interest, so you should be friends. That's how it works.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like so many people do see it as transactional, and I don't know, I just never forget, like, if someone's like, okay, but like, how does that benefit you? I'm like, it doesn't need to, like maybe in the future it will, but that's not why I'm trying to have this interaction right now, like, whatever happens. But yeah, it's just about making friends and connecting people. And
I've seen a lot of community people burn out that way, where it's like, this is a community and it has this purpose for me, and that's why I started it, and everyone should be involved in it and focused on me and that focus. And it's like, but that's not how community works. So it's a group thing. It's for everybody.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I love that memory from that conference, because I had forgotten about that. And it was like the first morning, I think. It's like, let me explain how things are going to be. And this is, and then they had those like, what, the open spaces.
That's what it is.
Yeah. A couple other conferences.
Breakout groups.
Yeah.
I used to, in virtual coffee, you'd join Tuesday or Thursday or maybe both, and then you break out into small groups in Zoom. So I would just breakout groups are now that terminology for me. Because again, I started learning to code in 2020, so everything was remote for a very long time. And so open spaces, you put a topic up on a board and people show up at that time if they want to talk about that topic. It is the definition of, I have this interest, does anybody else have this interest? And so I think that Rachel was at that one, so that I mostly did accessibility open spaces with them. And it was interesting seeing people be like, well, I never get to talk about this with anyone else. And it's like, well, you can find a community. There are many communities that exist for this. And it's only by hearing other people's opinions that you get to challenge some of your worldviews and really get a broader perspective on a lot of things that will help you a lot in your career.
Yeah. And I mean, some of them were tech related, but a lot of them weren't, which was great, because it was like, cool, like we're already connecting at a tech conference.
Yeah.
Like, we can talk about other stuff too.
Well, it's funny, like that group of that, we keep saying that, that is the name of the conference. That group of that conference attendees, like the amount of times that we've all shown up and been like, oh my God, the crew's back together. Like, people don't realize how small the tech conference world is, and like how easy it is to accidentally agree to keep doing 8 conferences a year because you're like, oh, my friend's going to be at this one, I've got to be at this, like the whole crew is going to be back. Like, there was one conference where a group of us sat in the front row and made sure that speakers heard people cheering. Hashtag.
Yes. Yeah.
And like every once in a while we'll get most of us back together or something, and we'll be like, the Hyde Squad's back together. Where are you? Where's our last member? Oh my God, we're gonna like take a picture or something. And like some of those people were the ones who supported me the most through cancer treatment. Like, it is truly wild how some of the best friends I'll ever have, I have made through tech conferences. And like, they may live half a world away, but I'll still get like, hey, how you doing on a random Tuesday? So
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Because I don't know, like I have old friends, but I feel like, your life changes and circumstances change and you change. And so like you go to your old friends less and less for certain things. I still have my ride or dies or whatever, but
yeah,
yeah, like at the moment it's like I have the, a few friends that I've been through stuff with life, but now it's like I'm so close with like so many new people that I've met in these different communities in tech that
yeah,
it's amazing. And you know what? I think, like, I know we still have a few more minutes, but I need to get to this because it keeps coming up, but it's not fully coming up. And
yep.
like the fact that, like, you have talked about some of your challenges, and the fact that, like, I don't think you mentioned cancer even being one of the challenges. I'm like, how amazingly strong are you right now?
It's less that, and like more, I have multiple therapists telling me that I cannot ignore that this happened to me for 2 years. The scariest part I found was definitely the first weekend, because I got the call at Render ATL in a back room and back hallway, and they were just like, yeah, you have cancer, we'll deal with it on Monday. And it was like, the what? So just for like a weekend, I knew, the only thing I knew was that I had cancer, and like that was terrifying. And then you start to get a plan, right? And there's every chance that I could have been cured by surgery. So everything else after that was to try and make sure that if anything escaped the tumor, which there was no proof that there had been anything, that it would die. And so part of that was going through IVF as onco fertility preservation, because we're not sure if we want to have kids. And now that moment was not the time to decide. It was the time to set some stuff aside in case treatment affected my fertility and just like move on. And so it would be like, okay, I'm going through 2 horrible surgeries, tech conference where I get to completely forget about everything and hang out with my friends. Okay, now I'm going through IVF, which was horrible. I still don't think we should have been able to do that at home alone. Like,
Wow.
it was wild. And then tech conference, hang out with my new friends, like do all of that. And
I remember you went to the Wisconsin that, like, I think
mhm,
you were like, had you just been cleared to go on the slides, or like you could,
yes,
because I
yeah,
was like, what in the world, Abby?
yep,
Like,
yep. And we stayed on the tubes. We didn't do hardcore slides. Like, we were doing that. And like, not many people knew at that point. In fact, James Cuquick got mad at me at the next conference because oh no, he got mad at me at that conference because I hadn't told him at Render. And it was like, what am I going to do? Run around and be like, I just got a call, I got cancer. Let's all cry together right here at Render. Like, that's not the mood. That's not the vibe. And, like, there's a pattern here of like, I would have surgery the next day, I would host a baby shower. I would get a biopsy the next day, I'd be at Render. Like, and at that, Mark Texan gave that talk where he was talking about his emotional journey through some medical struggles. It was like one of the best talks ever. He pulled out a guitar in the middle. It was one of the coolest thing ever. And I'm just sitting there for an hour and a half, just being like, I have to give a highly technical talk in 30 minutes. Okay, all right, we're gonna do this. Everything's gonna be fine. And Rachel was like, I can't
yeah. I'm like, I would have been bawling. Luckily, like, I had asked, because you know how he's so great and takes photos of people with his camera. And so I think that was the first time where I was like, hey, do you want me to take photos of you with your camera like you've been doing? And so thank goodness that I was doing that, because I would have been bawling if I wasn't distracted by trying to get his photos.
And so one of his themes in there was my family kept telling me to stop joking with all the medical professionals, because like that's not the vibe right now. But it was my vibe, right? And so as I went through chemo, I think chemo was really the hardest for me, because you're immunocompromised, so like you can't really go out, and you just feel like a sack of poison. Like, it's hard to describe how it feels to poison yourself. And I wasn't on the hardest core chemo. I kept most of my hair. Like, I was able to hide most of the impact and still feel like a normal person when I did have to go out. But like, you're poisoning yourself. You're attacking all of the fast growing cells in your body. Like, it is a problem in more ways than one. The nausea especially was ubiquitous for a while. And I would get nauseous in elevators, like close to the next dose and everything. It was wild. And so that one was really hard. Radiation was hard logistically. Like, you had to go every single day for 20 doses. And again, like, Andrea, who I met the as part of the hype squad, she had to do twice the amount of everything I did with a harder chemo, and I was just half the time sitting there going like, how did she mentally get through this? And so you find this well within you of this like strength, and like I don't want to draw on that well ever again. I know it's there. Like I hope that I never get into a situation where I need to know that it's there ever again. But like we got through it. Part of that was an excellent couples counselor. My husband, you know, to the point that when I got invited to speak in Paris, I was like, we're going, you're coming. I'm going to tie you to a bed if I have to get you to relax, but you are eating yourself alive. And we're through it at this point. We're through active treatment. And then the aftermath is a lot of accepting grief, mourning, like a lot of that. And now I'm on a drug that I'll be on for another 3.5 years, something like that. That slowly starves out the cancer. So like I'm still dealing with side effects. I'm still dealing with scarring. I had a cosmetic surgery it's been about 6 months. So like everything's through at that point. But it's really one of those things where you realize how important it is to be able to look forward to things. The small things are the things that you really miss, like hanging out with friends. And like those moments are almost more joyful because you've been through that experience, which is absolutely horrible. Like it's not a good time, which is why I don't really dwell on it unless I have to. And like,
I apologize.
No, but I'm like, I did individual counseling as well as couples counseling. And my individual counselor was, you know, you're doing great. You like checking all the boxes. You got your support group. You got what are you here for? And I was just like, I just have feelings, and immediately started crying. And she was like, oh, okay, yeah, no, we got to sit with those. And I was like, I don't want to do that. That's not what I want to do. So now I'm in like a young survivor support group. I'm starting to volunteer with the rehab facility. I've like gotten into an exercise program through them, and it's really been a years-long journey, and I'll probably have, you know, years ahead of me where like accepting everything that I've been through, getting back to the point where walking into a hospital and someone putting a wristband on me doesn't make me want to throw up, like all this kind of stuff. But then there's also like several groups. We joke that it's an elite club that nobody wants to be in. So like there are people where immediately they say something and you're like, I know what's going on. Yep, I know what's going on. Yeah. And then you're friends. Like that's how it is. And it's interesting because like I'll experience something randomly, like out of the blue, and I'll just be like, I don't want to deal with this. And then I'll have to like dig through it and be like, oh yeah, I guess that did happen in the middle of the cancer. Like I cannot sit in the doctor's waiting room. I have to bring knitting or something, because it's just like, how many minutes of my life have I spent in a doctor's waiting room? Like, oh, no, I'm out.
Yeah.
And some of that was I had the existing condition before. So like I was used to dealing with doctors and stuff. And I frequently think about starting a charity just doing admin work for people who are medically complex, because it is insane. I mean, I'm sure you know, you've had kids. So
yeah.
Like...
No, I was going to say, like, the amount of hours I've spent in an ER waiting for a bed, like for, yeah. So like, obviously it's not the same level of trauma for me as it is for, you know, you and Sebastian, but geez, man, it's, yeah. Like last week, I think, I remember Bethany it was a yappy hour, and I was just not my usual self. And it was because like I had this imminent appointment that I needed to take Sebastian to, and they had moved the doctor's office from like a traditional like doctor's office to inside of a hospital. And so I was just like very much like in my head about it.
The number of hospitals I've been lost in. I actually wandered into labor and delivery one time. That's when you get escorted by a cop.
Oh my God.
Where you're supposed to go, because they're like, are you trying to steal a baby right now? And you're like, no. Also, you want to talk about talks I had a hard time not crying through. Your talk about how you ended up making the app for Sebastian, because I already knew some of the background. I was just sitting there the entire time being like, don't cry. Everything's fine. It's the first time. Doing great.
I know. I apologize, because that one you know, it was my first one, and I wanted to share everything. So I had like all the videos. And so of course, like, I'm like I'm up there about to cry. Yeah, I'm up there about to cry. I've reined it in since then.
Oh, I don't know. I liked that version, but I also like I've been in part of the journey. I've seen how strong you are dealing with that and everything.
Well, same to you, man. Like
Yeah.
that's why I'm glad you're so open with everything. And I'm,
Yeah.
not trying to make you dwell on stuff because you do
No,
like openly say things like,
so
it's
we talked about my psychology research at the beginning of this, and that was into mental health stigma. It was at a time where the suicide rate for soldiers was skyrocketing, and we were near a fort, so they contracted us to do research into this specifically. And so I saw firsthand, if you don't talk about this stuff, if you don't talk about the fact that you struggle, even because apparently I seem confident, who knew? And like if you don't talk about the mental struggle of like sometimes just daily life, like people will hold that in, they won't seek help, they won't talk to anybody about it, and it will just get worse and worse and worse. And so I found the ADHD and coding series that I wrote, I still get emails about people being like, this changed my life, I finally got diagnosed, like all this stuff. And like, I'm sorry if I haven't replied to your email, it's not on purpose, I swear. It's the ADHD. But like I still get comments, I still give that talk, and then when I give that talk, I spend 4 hours at least after the talk, which is 20 minutes, being like, I legally cannot tell you what to do. I can tell you to talk to a professional. Philosophically, I can talk about like how this affects me and like some things that have helped me, but like I cannot prescribe you therapy or tell you what to do. You have to talk to a professional about that. And like I've ended up crying, and just in the Q&A session of a conference and like all this stuff. So it's wild, and it took me a very long time to be comfortable with vulnerability and things like that. But the benefits that I see in my communities, in just people that I talk to, like there's no denying that it's good to talk about these things and get it out. So
yeah, totally. And with just a few minutes left, is there anything in, the wide variety of experiences you've had in your life that we haven't touched on that you would like to mention or bring up and with?
because I saw the code and crochet,
Yeah.
I have been surrounded by fiber arts like my entire life, and I ended up picking them up. I picked up crochet in 2013, and part of that was I was going through like a really hard time, or like I would describe it as a major depressive episode, and it was the thing that got me to like, oh, I've made a thing. That's great. I made a thing. And then like it just became a whole part of my life. And then I saw a scarf that was a D&D dungeon map with the charms representing monsters and associated D&D adventure. Rick of Pearl's Yarn Emporium is a genius. His brain works differently. Like he's made a scale model of the earth out of little triangles. Like it's amazing. But it was knit. And I was like, guess I got to learn how to knit. And talking to one of my friends in that yarn store, I was like, no, just go ahead and pick it up. But like that was my first knitting project. And she was like, yeah, you're a monster. And so there's this like ADHD, don't ask yourself if it's hard, that lends to all of the crafting that I do. And then also, it really is the same part of your brain as coding. And so I've started giving a talk on fiber arts and programming, and how, yeah, you may think that the Jacquard loom is the ancestor of the computer, but it's this true story is a little bit different. And
You did that one at ATO? I remember I heard it, but I can't remember where.
I did that one. I did the workshop at Code Mash. ATO was designed for non-designers, where I go, you don't need to make a wireframe.
Oh, yeah.
Boxes on the page and then make a website. It's fine. Might be teaming up with my friend Kat, who actually has multiple degrees in design.
Oh, wait, Kat, yes.
Yeah.
I love
so we
her.
might be changing that from you don't need to know any design concepts to you could know some design concepts and get the talk together.
Yeah,
but
she was on last week.
Yeah, I love Kat. The thing is, though, that it's the same part of your brain. So there are a lot of very interesting articles and research into using fiber arts, like sewing and knitting and crochet as teaching these computational concepts, or like for loops and while loops and things like that. And different fiber arts are better for teaching different concepts. And knitters have hacked knitting machines since they first started existing to make them do the things that they want, and program them after support ended and all this kinds of stuff. So it's interesting how much those two worlds like just so naturally mesh together, and how all of these disparate experiences always come together to make doing the work that I'm doing professionally easier, because I already know XYZ concept, or I already know that the user is important, or whatever, all coming together over and over again throughout my life. So it's a fun pattern.
Yeah. Pun intended.
Mm-hmm.
So where I shared your shop from earlier, but where can people find you? Like, do you prefer Blue Sky or LinkedIn, or either or?
I'm on Blue Sky and LinkedIn. I don't think I'm on anything else really. I'm looking into some other AT Proto stuff as that evolves. It seems very exciting right now. So there's something else that came out. I'll post it on Blue Sky when I set it up.
Okay, I was trying to find your Blue Sky so I could share it.
LinkedIn, I do. I won't accept anyone without a profile picture is my new rule. Yeah, but it's definitely where I post conferences I'm going to and things that I've written and stuff like that. I don't really, I don't treat it as a blog, although that did work extremely well for some people. So maybe I should.
I did that briefly just to get over my fear of posting, but now I do the same. I try to just post like where I'll be.
Oh, hey, Charles. Thanks for posting my Blue Sky. Yeah, thanks for coming, Linda. Always good to see you.
Yay. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Abby. Thanks for making the time. Thanks, everybody, for coming to hang out with us. Yeah. Appreciate it. Thank you. Oop, there we go. Yeah. And I mean, we covered so many topics, like super interesting, very fun. And yeah, I will catch you in one of our communities that we're in.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.